Chag Sameach.
We are the last day of Chol Hamoed, getting ready for the final days of Pesach, gearing up to the 7th and 8th day of Pesach, Shvi Shel Pesach and Achor Shel Pesach, the grand finale. We're going to matzah up. So what is the celebration of the last days of Pesach? It seems that some of us are already matzed out, but the starkers, the strong ones here, are still holding on. We have 2 more days left. What are the second days, last days of Pesach all about? The 7th day of Pesach is a day we commemorate the splitting of the sea, the splitting of the Red Sea, which is really the final step of the exodus of Egypt, the final step of the Jewish people's emancipation from bondage in Egypt. Until the 7th day, they were still potentially pursued by their enemies, by the Egyptians, by Pharaoh. It wasn't until after the splitting of the Red Sea that it's all behind them. Bondage is behind them, slavery is behind them, and they're now clear, free to receive the Torah, to be truly free. So what does that mean for us today? What are we celebrating here on the 7th day of Pesach, the last day of Pesach? What does it mean for us? Especially since we recited at the Haggadah that in every generation we have to view ourselves as if we personally left Egypt. So how do we personify this? So a Jew answers a question by asking a question, right? That's the Jewish approach. Let's ask a real klutz question. It's called klutz kasha. Why the need for the splitting of the Red Sea? I mean, it's pretty dramatic. Can't deny that. That's pretty neat stuff. I mean, that's pretty impressive, the splitting of a sea. But why the need for it? If the Egyptians were pursuing the Jewish people, there are many quote-unquote tricks up God's sleeve. God can do anything. So why the splitting of the sea? Why is that even necessary? And here the Jewish people had to go through the sea, which that itself it takes a lot of effort. Why would the Jewish people need to go through the sea in order to drown the enemies in the sea or to get rid of the enemies? God could have rid the Jewish people of their enemies without having the Jewish people go through the sea, quote unquote, on dry land. Here, the Hasidic masters point out, the Alter Rebbe and the Hasidic masters point out there's something very, very significant about the Jewish people walking through the sea on dry lands. And that's actually a prerequisite for the Jewish people to receive the Torah. It's almost as if enemies drowning in the Red Sea is sort of like a side factor of the entire drama of the Jewish people going through the sea on dry land. That is the main factor. The fact that through this, the enemies are gone is a side factor. What does that mean? What does it mean to receive the Torah? So the Torah is not only a book of laws, it's not only the Jewish history, it's much, much more than that. It's a guide to life. It's a blueprint. The world. The blueprint of living a meaningful life, a divine life, and the best way of having a life. But it's more than that. Because a person could live a lifestyle, living a lifestyle which is disciplinary, focusing on more meaningful goals. There are many ways of doing that. The Torah is a blueprint to life because it's about tapping into our deepest self. It's living in sync with who we really are. Here we have a concept which is brought down in the teachings of the mystical teachings of Hasidus, which wasn't really revealed. For that matter, it wasn't revealed to the greater populace up until about a century ago. And that is tapping into our subconscious. The Talmud says that whatever we find on dry land, we'll also find in the sea. These are two parallel worlds. Except on dry land, it's revealed. In the sea, the mysteries of the sea are all concealed. All we see, no pun intended, is really the surface layer. That's what we see from the outside. Until we plumb into the depths of the sea, like Jacques Cousteau, and even deeper. In Hasidus, it points out that these two worlds, which are expressed in Kabbalah, which are Alma Desgalia, Alma Deskasya, the revealed world and the concealed world, are all within us as well. Because we are a microcosm of reality. We have a revealed self, we have a concealed self. That concealed self, the subconscious, goes very, very deep. To the point where we have no idea of really what is there. Unlike the Freudian model, which we have no idea what lurks underneath, while Freud spoke about the id, the Alter Rebbe spoke about the yid. The depth of the soul, the Jew, the deep, deep elements which are within the yid, which are within the soul. And that is very, very positive. About going deep. There was once a person who came to the Rebbe and said, I look at people and you see on the surface level, there are smiles. You see on the surface level, they have a certain allure and a certain face to them and a certain facade. But when you get to know them, you get to know these people, there's such grime, such schmutz, such negativity. This person was very upset. I guess some individuals really who he had trusted stabbed him in the back, whatever it was, the behind the story, behind the scene comment to the Rebbe. What do you make of this? So the Rebbe said, no, you're very right. You look outside and you see beautiful trees, grass, landscaping. All you have to do is dig a little bit until you get to the dirt that's really beneath the surface. The Rebbe agrees with me, you're right. You see? That's a great metaphor. The Rebbe continues, but then if you go deeper, you will find precious resources that are within the earth. You'll find water, wells, oil, precious gems, all precious resources that lie beneath not only the surface, but beneath that first surface of all the dirt that you find underneath the beautifully manicured lawns. So yes, we have an id, we have that animalistic self, but go deeper beneath that, and you'll find the most incredible resources of our souls. But sometimes they're under layers. What is the Torah? The Torah is living a life that we are in sync with our deepest self. It's about bringing out the reality, the deepest reality of God's beautiful world. That this is not a jungle, it's indeed a divine world, a beautiful world, God's garden. In order to get there, sometimes we have to go through the schmutz. We have to split our own sea. We have to reveal what is really, really deep within ourselves. What is covering up? What is internal? What is our deepest self? Our most divine self? What is beneath the surface of those we encounter? Are we able to split in our own minds? Are we able to split their own sea and reveal their deepest self? This is what the seventh day of Pesach is really all about. Taking that step, that final step of going out of Egypt. The going out of Egypt, out of our own boundaries, limitations, which is the Hebrew word Mitzrayim, Meitzar, the etymological root of Mitzrayim, Egypt, is boundaries, limitations, restrictions. In order to really free ourselves from those restrictions, and that Mitzrayim, we have to tap into our deepest self. We have to split our sea and tap into our deepest self. By doing that, we will rid ourselves from those who pursue us. We will rid ourselves from the negativity that pursues us. We're on the road to receive the Torah. This is the real meaning of the last days of Pesach. It's not minimal. Make a big deal of the first days of Pesach, but we seemingly, the last days of Pesach sort of like glide by. And there's a reason for this. The reason for this is the first days of Pesach, we make a big ceremony about the beginning of the process of ridding ourselves from Pharaoh, from the restrictions of Egypt. We left Egypt, and we have a big Seder commemorating going out of Egypt. But it's not over yet. It's not over until we transform the darkness of the night of going out of Egypt, the night of the Seder, until we've transformed it into light. It's not over. Here the Jewish people set on their journey, began their journey into the world and our responsibility of transforming the world, of being a light unto the nations, revealing that this is indeed a divine place. The world is a God's garden. And we continue doing Pesach. The last days of Pesach, we emphasize our goal, our objective, that we're not there yet. We can't lose our focus. We have to have our eye on the prize, our eye on the goal. Keep focused. The last days of Pesach are about splitting our sea, And the very last day of Pesach, Achron Shel Pesach, is a day that we emphasize the coming of Mashiach, which is something that the prophets of Israel have always emphasized. Keeping our eye on the goal, our eye focused on the objective, that we have a role to play. We can't let go of that vision of feeling that this is God's garden. There will be a time that this world will be at peace. The focus will be meaning and purpose. We will get through not only the veneer, the beautiful manicured lawns. Yes, we will discover all the schmutz and all the grime, but we will dig deeper and reveal that the beautiful manicured lawns are really in sync with the incredible resources that are really beneath the surface. And if this exists on the physical level, how much more it exists on the human level, revealing the incredible resources underneath, within all of humanity. And so the last day of Pesach, there's a beautiful custom instituted by the Baal Shem Tov. And that is, on the last day of Pesach, we have some matzah. At the end of Pesach, just before Pesach is about to go, we hold on to Pesach. We hold on to that vision. We hold on to that incredible teaching and experience that we've had for the entire 8 days. We have matzah, we have some wine, we have 4 cups of wine, and we end off reflecting upon Mashiach. By the way, as we leave Pesach, we're going to be starting a new course, a new JLI course, which is going to be demystifying one of the most, this concept, which is one of the 13 principles of Jewish faith, the coming of Mashiach. So the idea is that the last day of Pesach, we internalize this vision, we internalize this mission, and we go out of Pesach empowered, strengthened, emboldened, that we have to finish this mission, revealing that this is a really divine world and bringing peace into the world. So first of all, we begin now, let's encourage others, whoever is interested in knowing a lot more about this important, not only incredible, important principle of Judaism, the 13th principle of what does it mean to reach a time of Mashiach, and how really is it within reach? Join us. Join us as we uncover the mysteries, demystify the mystical and mysterious dimensions of Mashiach. And let's go into Yom Tov emboldened with joy. And everyone have a Chag Sameach. So tonight we daven at 6 o'clock. Yizker is on Sunday morning, is Yizker.
What time?
Yizker is about 11:20, 11:15, 11:20. Join us for Yizker. And everyone have a wonderful Yom Tov. Let's have a niggun for the end of Yom Tov. ושמחת בחגך והישא שמח ושמחת בחגך והישא שמח Good Yom Tov, good Shabbos, good Yom Tov.
Good Yom Tov, good Shabbos, Rabbi. Have a great day.
Good Shabbos. Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good Yom Tov.